Hi, and welcome back to Yairn. My name's Fiona, and I am a Scottish American designer living in the Scottish Highlands. And this is my creative roundup of everything that I've made this month. The first thing I want to talk about is my trip to the Portsoy Wool Festival. It was really lovely. They had it spaced out into two different areas inside of a church and inside of a hotel event space. So there was lots of room for lots of different vendors. There was a lot of colorful dyed yarn, sock yarn. There were some fleeces. There was some more experimental things on show. There were, a small amount of kind of equipment vendors and knick-knack vendors and just all exciting kind of crafty stuff. So that was great. I actually took my mom with me for that, and we had a really lovely day looking around at all the different yarns. And then to talk about what I acquired, I need to announce some rather big news. I'm actually pregnant. So I am 19 weeks pregnant approximately right now. And I decided to acquire some yarn to make my first baby project. We currently don't know if it's a boy or a girl, and we're not convinced if we're going to find out before or leave it as a surprise. We are totally happy with either, so we don't feel like we need to know. So for that reason, I kind of went with a gender neutral color, but I also don't feel strongly that you have to keep boys in one color, one set of motifs, and girls in another. I think you can do whatever you want. So I've gone with this beautiful butter yellow color. And this was a stand that I was really drawn to at the Portsoy Wool Festival. It just seemed really natural, and when I took a closer look, that was definitely the case. So this is Wooldale Wool, and they're located locally in Aberdeenshire, and they make all of their own yarn from their own flock, and then they also do natural dyeing. So this particular skein is 100% merino wool, DK weight for needles 3 or 4, and 3 or 4 millimeters, and it was naturally dyed with weld, which is a weed or dyer's weed, I believe. And yeah, it is really beautiful, soft yellow color. And I decided I wanted to make the bear suit by Pernille Larson with this. And I'm going to make the 3 to 6 month size because I do think it's a little fiddly and probably too fiddly for a newborn. My mother is going to make another really beautiful onesie kind of sleep suit, which I'll put an image up of here. She's going to make that one for the newborn size. So I'm going to make mine for the 3 to 6 months. And so for that particular pattern, I did do a gauge swatch, and I wish I had kept that, but I actually don't have the original swatch I did because I just felt like my gauge wasn't working. It was too loose, and I was trying different needle sizes. I moved down a needle size, but I still wasn't convinced. So I decided to do something I haven't done before, which is work with a mohair. I got the Kid Silk by Drops in shade 52. And I decided to hold that together with the merino wool. I did choose this color online, and I just got really lucky with how beautiful of a match it was. So this is my new swatch with the mohair, and I love how this has turned out. I don't think it feels as open. There's a lovely texture to it. You can see the fuzz there. It's really soft and lovely. So I'm really excited with how this has turned out, and excited to cast this one on eventually, although I am going to try and hold off for just a little bit, and I'll explain that a little further down the line. So my second incredibly exciting acquisition at the Wool Festival was a used drum carder. So I mentioned in my last video that I was on the lookout for a drum carder, and I wasn't entirely sure if there was going to be any at the Wool Festival. And it was actually my mother who spotted it and pointed it out to me. And the woman who owned it was a spinner, and she had had it for about 8 years and used it exclusively to card all of her fleeces. And she had recently been gifted an electric belted carder. And so she didn't need the manual carder anymore. Although what is very unique about this Louet carder is that it does have a belt, the opportunity to add a belt. So I'm going to try and get my husband and my dad to put on their thinking caps and come up with some kind of little engine or something that I can use, perhaps a sewing machine engine or something that will get this baby spinning. That'll really speed up the process. I mean, it's already so much faster than doing the hand carding, and it works beautifully. I actually had some fleece on hand when I got home. I set it up and I did a little bit of carding, and it did exactly what it says on the tin. It got all the fibers to lay beautifully in line next to each other and created a bat that was really easy to work with, and I've already got that going on the spinning wheel. Here is the yarn that I've spun up. This is just the single ply yarn so far. So this is just what I spun up on that very first day when I got the drum carder back from the Portsoy Wool Festival. So yeah, so if you watched last week's video, I kind of proposed 4 different patterns for what I might make out of this yarn. And I will say that over the past month, I really haven't been able to get that cable knit option out of my mind. I just think it's so stunning and something that is a piece that I will really cherish for years and years, and very classic. So I think that's going to be what I end up making. And I also think this rustic color is going to be really, really beautiful for that particular project. So that's in the works. That's kind of a long-term project. I think that project in particular might even take years to complete. So we'll see. I'll keep everyone posted week to week or month to month as to how that is going. Just a reminder, I do have the little swatch I did originally with that yarn. It really does look super felted. I'll check the gauge on the pattern and see if it's any larger than this, because it is, very tight and very chunky, but it would be warm, which would be nice. Speaking of projects, so you might remember the kind of appley green wool that I bought when I was in Aurora for my very first video. That's this yarn. Absolutely stunning. I love it. And I was curious what it might look like if I used the same mohair and held it together. I was wondering if it might bring out the yellow and kind of make it a really cool looking creamy green, something like that. But as soon as I started doing the swatch, I just knew it wasn't working. It wasn't what I wanted. So I'll show you that. So you can see the mohair, it just creates white lines and speckles. It doesn't look yellow anymore. It doesn't create a cohesive color. So it does look kind of better when you hold it back like that, but I'm not convinced. So I'm going to buy some different mohair, probably in a kind of appley tone as well, and try to get a more cohesive looking swatch that I'm happier with. This is in the dream bucket. This is in the future bucket. I don't want to have too many projects on the go, but it's nice to have, I feel like it's nice to do swatches and to have the yarn in my stash ready to go and know that I can just cast on and be confident and go for it when I'm ready to. So that is the thought process there. But to move into a long-term project that has been on this channel is the Mochi Knits Roma Cardigan. So a little touch base on where I'm at with that. Here she is in all her glory. I'm still in love with the color, and this is the Kama Rose Snefnug yarn, which is just so delicious and gorgeous. And yeah, it's coming together. I have knit down to the armhole and joined together there. That was a fun process. Let me see if I can get a better little visual for you there. And then I've continued that slip knit stitch. I will try and put this over my shoulder to give you an idea of the length that I've gotten so far. So I'm just under the bust basically, and I've got the neckline there. I think I have roughly the same length to do again, so double what I have so far. And I will say that I am being a little bit delinquent about picking this up. I'm in that kind of sloggy period. I really thought that once I got to the join and once I got past the shoulder holes, I would just be on a roll and I'd be running with it. But I have found that I have been avoiding it a little bit. And I think it's just because I'm in that stage where it's really repetitive. It's the same rows over and over and over again. So I'm hoping this month, I'm actually going to be taking a long flight to California. My husband is there on business, so I'm going to join him for a couple of weeks for a little baby moon. And I'll bring this on the plane. I'll pop on some movies and I'll try and get as much progress on this one done as possible. So that is the update on the Mochi Knits Roma Cardigan. Lastly, about knitting, I wanted to mention this beautiful magazine that my husband bought me for my birthday. So this is a Finnish magazine called Lane, and this is their summer 2025 edition. I have their winter 2025 as well. And it's full of really stunning photography. They do a great job of presenting their various designs. And each magazine has 5 or 6, at least, maybe more patterns in it. So even though the magazine itself is a little bit on the pricier side, I think it is worth it because you would definitely pay that amount for the patterns that you're getting anyways. So And it's just fun to kind of have on hand a little stash of patterns that you can explore and experiment with. So I'll just share a few of the ones that I am drawn to in this particular book. The first one is the ice cream cardigan. So this one is by Maria Gomez, and it is held with 2 strands of mohair, which was really exciting to me because I'm just getting into mohair and I have only so far tried the Kid Silk by Drops, but I know that Knitting for All Of has a very popular mohair. I'm sure there's thousands. But I think that's definitely something that is on my list for the future. Probably not anytime soon with baby coming, but I think that would be a really fun one to come back to. Another pattern I was really excited about was this Dozel sweater by that designer. I'm not going to try and say that name. I don't think I'll get that right. But I think everyone pretty much knows the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. I've never done that one in particular, but I do like this stitch pattern quite a lot, and I like the detail there where they've got a bit of a flat panel, and I think that would really help the scarf lay really nicely along the neck and the back. I think that'll look really classic. So this one's going on a list. It might be sooner than later. And then the last one that I was really excited about was this sweater. So this is called the Lamino by Linda Linkovic. It's got some really interesting details. It's a raglan sweater, and then it's got these like contrast color striping on the sides that match with the raglan detail. And it's kind of sporty but simple. And I think this really could be a nice contender for the wool that I have in the same color. So yeah, that is also going on the list. I recommend this magazine. They also have some really beautiful recipes and articles about yarn producers and different knitwear designers. And I think another thing I really love about this magazine is that they feature a lot of independent designers. And it's just really interesting to see and read their stories and see, what they were doing in their different careers and things before they got into knitwear and what drew them into knitwear. And that's all really interesting to me. Moving into sewing, I wanted to touch base on the quilt. I had every intention of finishing this month, but life got in the way and I was not able to get it done. But that is okay because I'm pregnant and I don't have as much energy as I normally would. And a lot of other life circumstances got in the way. But anyways, an update on this. I was able to get all of the panels sewn together, and I was able to put on a border in this really nice marigold cotton that I purchased from Ammo Threads. Ammo Threads is a deadstock retailer, so they don't sell anything kind of fresh off the roll. This is fabric that's been kind of left aside by manufacturers, so I do feel more comfortable buying that type of fabric. And then this batting I got from a woman who was destashing, and I thought it was going to be a good weight, but I think after I've put it on, I've realized it's just too thin. It's not really going to give me that effect that I want for the quilt, that kind of comfort level, that squishiness level. So I will have to be sourcing different batting, more thicker batting for this before I continue on with it. So wish me luck with this. I hope I come back to this soon. I really want to get this finished. I would love to have a cozy blanket to curl up on the couch with. We will see how quickly that happens. lastly, just to, you know, throw a little bit of a curveball, I am planning to make the Battenberg blanket by Sandra Paul. And I chose this one because I want to make a baby blanket, and I have a lot of kind of bits and different skeins of yarn that I don't necessarily have enough quantity to make a sweater out of or anything. So I think this is a beautiful pattern that's going to work really well to de-stash and declutter. Yeah. So I will link an image there, or show you an image there and put the link in my description. And that is all. Thank you so much for joining. I hope everyone has a fabulous day, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.